Alrighty, welcome back. Another episode of Post-Fades and Cheesesteaks. Hot off a Eagles bye week and a Phillies win on Sunday after they blew it on Saturday and almost blew it again on Sunday. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, quick thoughts on the Phillies, I guess, before we get into since Eagles didn't play, it'll probably be a fairly short episode. But man, let me tell you, when I saw that they got, I mean, first of all, electric, like Bryce Harper. I couldn't imagine if I would like being at that game. Harper comes
Oh yeah.
up, cracks a two-run home run to get it within one, and Castellanos two pitches later, solo home run, and then they finally get some batters who are on base in. I think it was Stott hit a triple. But then they brought in Strom, and I was like, I don't like this. I had
That
a
was a bad
bad I had
man,
a
I don't
bad
get
feeling
it.
off the rip, and then lo and behold, gives up a home run, and then tie game. But thankfully, Casty came in clutch again and drove in the walk-off run. So, and he had a diving catch to end the top of the ninth. So he had a hell of a game. He
Yeah, I
had
mean that's him in the playoffs, man. He goes on a tear like that. That's why I felt really good when he was up.
well, when
I was like,
Schwarber
get
goes
him
0
on
for
base.
5, you need
Well, that's the
somebody.
thing. Yeah. He man, the Phillies like gave you everything in a nutshell in that one game that drives you crazy during the playoffs. They had pretty solid starting pitching. I mean, Wheeler threw
I
a
mean,
gem.
Wheeler pitched game of his life.
Yeah, and I don't even think Sanchez was that bad. See, he did
No, he
pretty well. But
wasn't.
he get dinged for third or three or two or three. I don't remember how many he ended up with. But it was like pitching was solid. Well, starting pitching was solid.
Mm,
The hitting was some completely anemic. Didn't exist for the
no.
first like 6 innings of the game. Then rip a couple home runs out of nowhere. Suddenly we crushing it. Hitting comes alive. Bullpen comes in, blows it.
Classic.
Hitting comes alive again.
Uh,
I just and you know what Strom was just like there's something about Strom. I feel like he's too emotional of a guy. Like you see him like he gets so excited when he gets a strikeout. You see him get like really frustrated if he doesn't get a call his way. Like I appreciate his energy and everything, but just wouldn't trust that emotion in a big moment.
yeah, I just did. If he comes in again for relief when we have a lead, I just have questions about
I
Rob
just
Thompson.
in that situation, man, you have a 2-run lead in the top of the ninth. You're bringing in Strom. I was shocked. Like this isn't like he's coming in the seventh inning, or something like this is the game. Just get 3 outs and you win. In a game you have to win. It was
Oh, that was yeah,
unexcusable.
absolutely.
You couldn't lose. There was just 0% chance. If you lost, the series is over.
I think they need to finish it in New York. They need to just knock out these next two wins and then move on.
I
But
mean, I'm hopeful because they game one, it was upsetting, but I can't say it's too surprising now that everything's settled down and you look back on it. Like we hadn't played in a week or whatever. The Mets were red hot. And I'm not trying to make that excuse, but it's not shocking that they came out so cold in game one. With a streaky team like us who rides momentum, I don't think that's totally surprising. But game two, you got it back on your side. The momentum switched. You won in
yeah.
such a powerful way that I think that really takes some wind out of the New York sails. Like that one hurts for the Mets. You had it multiple times and you blew it multiple times. You had those series wrapped up if you won. You go back to New York, but now it's hey man 0-0. Now they won one in our place. We got to go win in their place.
Yeah, I think I don't know, I mean it's the Mets are feisty and it's kind of funny because they're very much like the Phillies were that like hot team coming into the playoffs when they got to the World Series. Then last year we ran into the hot team, the Diamondbacks. Now this year we're running into the hot team, the Mets. So who knows? But soon, I mean, every other series is split from. I mean, I saw Padres Dodgers is split. The
Man,
Detroit
Padres
Tigers, man, they
smacked them.
can't believe they're even in the playoffs.
I
Um,
it's amazing. Like they can't hit at all. They just
I,
field and pitch really well, and
I
it's getting
went
them pretty far.
I went to when I was in Detroit for a wedding back in April for my buddy from Temple. Um, we went to a Tigers game and like that stadium was not packed. The team was everyone thing I heard that the team was going to be lousy this year. They have some I forget some like old Phillies player on there. I forget the hell his name was. I think he's an outfielder. Burling, I think. Yeah.
Verling, yeah, he's on there.
Um, and they just looked horrible. Like I didn't think they were going to do anything. And then all of a sudden they won. Hell, a lot of games in that of the season. But
I've saw some of the playoff games. I'm not gonna lie, they're not like world beaters. Nothing's looking too
oh no,
exciting.
no.
They
But
like just get
they
by.
got smacked against the Guardians, and then they won. I think last night. So, but
Yeah. One last thing on the Mets, like you look at that game, and it does make me feel okay because man, the Mets are the Mets. They
The
blew
Mets will
that
met.
like that guy, who was it? Stott coming home. Like that
Hmm,
was right to the third baseman. That he should have been out. That's just like that's a play you got to make.
yeah.
Edwin Diaz, your $20 million a year closer comes in. He gives up the lead. Like the Mets were doing their hardest to give us this game, and then in turn, we were also kind of trying to give it to them as well.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's still moments with the Mets that make me think we are still going to beat them.
I I think they should. I think they need to win tomorrow, so Tuesday, in order to keep the momentum. I think it's going to be
Oh, you have
not a
to.
good look if the Mets win tomorrow.
You got to steal one at home, and they stole one at your place. You got to steal one at theirs. Take one right away.
Yeah, I don't want it to be 5 games when you go back to the bank, and I would hate to lose a 5 game series with the Mets at home, but oh, well, we'll see. But that's baseball, so that's exciting. Hockey starting soon, basketball starting soon, so it's that time of year where like end of October you have like all four major sports are in play, and it's a phenomenal time of the year. But
Man, I guess all I can say, thank God the Eagles run a bye. I don't think I could have emotionally handled an Eagles game and these two Phillies games in the same
well,
weekend. Like I'd be rattled.
Saturday's game felt like I was watching Eagles games, so
Yeah, it was that was painful,
I was
really
like, I thought I
painful.
avoided that this week. Nope. But
First game was pure depression. The second game was like heartbreaking, like euphoria, depression. Like I went through every stage of emotion. When they hit the 2-run home run off Strom, I was just laying bed there watching on my phone, trying to be quiet, and I swear I was about to cry. I just was like, "This is it. This is it."
I just was like, I think the only words I could muster were "you can't be serious."
Yeah.
So, but alas, it is football season. Had some pretty intriguing upsets. And so we're recording this on Monday. So the Monday night football game is actually on right now. I think it's still 0-0, if I recall. Oh no, Chiefs scored 7-0. So Chiefs and
Pretty
Saints.
good week of football. Like there was a lot of games that went down to the wire. I mean, the Jags and the Colts game was right till the end. We had overtime in two different games and two high scoring games. The Bills and Texans was right last minute field goal. A couple upsets, like you said. I was an entertaining week of football.
Yeah, I will say too, just to hit on college football real quick. Shout out Bobby for talking shit on me because Virginia Tech lost to Vanderbilt, and then Vanderbilt went and beat Alabama this past weekend. But that was wild. I don't know if you saw that. They like broke down the goalpost and like carried it like 3 miles or something like that. But
Honestly, I don't understand how that was even allowed. How did they get a field goal post out of the stadium, walk down the street, and then just allowed to throw it in a river? Like at some point, someone was going to have to stop them.
that I was like, I was so confused about that. I was like, what? Oh, they took the goalpost down, and then I heard like they threw it in a river. I was like, how did they get out of the stadium?
Yeah,
So
I don't know, very confusing. I
just
know
curious, didn't care, but
I'm a firm believer that there are certain moments in your life that you have diplomatic immunity. Like you're untouchable. You can get away with whatever you want.
mm,
Your wedding day, it's a
mm,
big one. I think
mm,
you can truly get away with whatever you want then. I think the day your child is born is another one. You can pretty much do whatever you want. No one will really care. Mostly because no one gives a shit about you. It's all about this new baby.
mm,
And then I guess when Vanderbilt beats Alabama, you can
mm.
just do whatever the hell you want. There's really no issue. It's whatever is allowed. That's tied with kind of your team wins the Super Bowl. Like depending on the city circumstance, like 2017 Eagles, I'm pretty sure anyone could do whatever they want. It was like the purge when the Eagles won the Super Bowl. So certain moments in your life you can get away with anything, and proving that Vanderbilt when they beat Alabama, you can get away with that.
Yeah, I saw Lane Kiffin was like mid press conference after his game, and he like stopped. the reporters because he was looking at like a TV and he was like, it's like, oh, how many timeouts does Alabama have? He's like, sorry to get distracted, but like you don't see this happen very often. This is history.
Yeah.
But anyways, all right, enough of other sports. Football, yes. So we had a London game, Tim. Was that being broadcasted all through the land over
It
there?
was, man. London games are big. They
Hmm.
sell out those stadiums, very popular. You see NFL jerseys all over the place. And it was a hell of a game, man. Man, the Vikings.
I hate
Who
to say it,
saw
they're
this
legit.
coming?
They're
I mean,
legit.
if the Chiefs lose to the Saints, the Vikings are the only undefeated team in the NFL. Who would have possibly saw that coming?
And you know what
And
though?
like,
They don't look like we always have every year we have like an undefeated team that's kind of fraudulent, but they're very legit. Like they've beaten good teams.
man, I'll say Brian Flores is really going to make the NFL
Oh,
uncomfortable.
he's
Like,
he's already he's coach of the year. Like he's assistant coach of the year. But like he's killing it on defense.
oh,
Oh,
their defense is so good.
them and the
It's
Broncos are
really impressive.
insane right now.
Does Flores, so all right, question to you. Obviously, like Flores isn't as polarizing as Kaepernick was, but he is currently
Mm.
suing the NFL.
Mm.
Kaepernick kind of
I
had
forget
going
why is
against
he suing
him
the NFL again?
something about discriminatory
Ah.
practices of coaching. I don't remember, to be honest. The
Mm.
Dolphins fired him when they wanted him to tank or something along those lines.
Mm.
But Kaepernick obviously started to play really bad and wasn't good at all, and kind of made it easier for him to kind of make his way out of the league.
Mm.
Flores is crushing it. Like
Yeah.
the defense that the Vikings are playing for a team that no one had any hope for, they're far exceeding that. Does anyone consider if the Vikings continue the success, maybe win the division, go on a deep playoff run? Does Flores get a head coaching chance, even though he's currently suing the NFL? Like, does someone look past this and like, yeah, he might be suing us, but he might also win me like a title if he's our coach?
I mean, I don't know. I don't know how much that'll play into like
Hey man, it comes
owner
down to
NFL
it's all about
politics
winning.
with owners.
I mean,
I
I've
don't.
seen Vic come out of jail and get a chance. Obviously, Deshaun Watson's whole thing. You know, if it's only about winning, who cares?
I was gonna say that's the problem though with the league and every sports league is that you can get in all this trouble, but if you are super talented and you're gonna help a team win, they will find a way to bypass your
You're right
issues and
about that.
failures and legal problems and whatever. So
Hey man, I think if Gruden was winning a little bit more, probably would have looked past that one too.
yeah, he's still doing stuff apparently. I don't know what for who or what,
I
but
think
I
he's
don't
taking
know.
some time under the spotlight. But yeah, man, the Vikings 5-0. Wow, who would have saw it?
I don't know. But
Aaron Rodgers on the hand, can't move. He not look
he's
impressive.
showing his age. He does not look like the Aaron Rodgers of old.
No, not at all.
Actually, before we had that, we did have Thursday Night Football, which was, I don't know if you caught it. That game was one of the best games of the year so far.
There's a
Um,
couple games like contenders this week. This the Ravens and the Bengals were another
oh,
one.
that was a hell of a game.
Yeah, the Jag even the Jags game went to the wire. I watched the
That's the Jags have
entire
looked all
Texans
year.
and Bills game. That Bills and Texas game was very entertaining. Even though it had a big score, the Bills came all the way back.
Yeah.
It was a lot of entertaining games this week.
I mean, like you said, Kirk Cousins must see TV, and he
Must say, the Vikings must see TV.
yeah, that's the trend continues.
I the Kirk Cousins Minnesota Viking most entertaining show on turf is just they've split up. They're doing better things. They're happy with each other. They're still friends,
So
but they're doing their own thing.
So yeah, Vikings beat the Jets 23-17, and then the Falcons beat the Bucks 36-30. And both quarterbacks played really well. I think Kirk threw for like 500 yards. It
Franchise
actually went
record.
into overtime. And yeah, man, I mean, it's hard enough being an Eagles fan, but must be rough also being a Falcons fan because like they're giving your blood pressure is like through the roof every game because they like to play around until the last 10 seconds to decide if they're gonna win or not. So,
True.
but elsewhere around the league, the Panthers have come back down to earth. So the Bears took care of them 36-10.
That was fun
Um,
for 1 week.
yeah. Andy Dalton has looked pretty meh since then. Someone who's not looked very meh, the Commanders, they continue to be probably the most explosive offense in the league, which is
Yeah,
crazy.
outrageous. Yeah.
I'm actually now a little worried. Um, but Cliff Kingsbury and Jane Daniels are cooking, and it's the league is on notice now.
I mean, the Panthers will make a strong case for this, but I think the Browns are the worst team in football. They
Yeah,
they are disgustingly bad.
let's wait until they
Like
beat us next week.
like Deshaun Watson is trash, but the whole team just looks deflated.
Yeah, I don't know. I've already been seeing all the Eagles like fan page memes where it's like Deshaun Watson against everyone else. It's like him on the Browns, Deshaun Watson against the Eagles. He's going to return to his Texans ways, but
No, we need to stop them.
they need
They look
they
so
like
bad.
we said on the last episode, the Eagles need to come out. AJ Brown, from what I would assume, is going to be back. Um, they need to pummel this team. I need to see 40 points on the scoreboard. So,
Yeah, I mean, with the Browns, they look so just dejected and terrible. Wouldn't be
I mean,
surprised.
they got Miles Garrett's been hurt all year. Their offense is terrible. But they've given up like 150 yards back to back on the ground. So I expect a heavy Saquon run game, which they if they did that every game, they would win. I don't know why they get away from it. This has been the Eagles' thing since I was born, is that they just refuse to commit to the run. So,
It's very true.
but yeah, so they beat the Browns 34-13. The Dolphins beat the Patriots 15-10. I don't know if anybody watched that game.
Ugly game.
Um,
Ugly, ugly game.
Jaguars beat the Colts 37-34.
I think the Jaguars just saved their season.
They did. Trevor Lawrence actually, double check his stats. He looked really good. 28 for 34, 371 yards, two tutties. Meanwhile, Joe Flacco,
Love me
30,
some Joe Flacco.
359 yards, three touchdowns. I don't get it.
The
But
Jet, you think the Jets are like, damn, we fucked up. We should just got the other old dude in the league.
yeah. Trey Sermon doing stuff for the Colts did, well, 10 carries, 30
I
yards,
picked
and
him
a
up in
touchdown.
fantasy this week. Wasn't disappointed. I could not believe he was still in the league. Talk about a guy I
I mean, he was
completely
on the
forgot
Eagles
existed.
for a cup of coffee, as you like
That
to
is
say.
true. Yeah, he didn't. Yeah.
Um, but so yeah, that's that. Um, Texans beat the Bills 23-20. There's a funny clip going around of Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs like hugging after the game, and they pull away and Stephon Diggs gives him like a mean side eye. But
The most
Bills
awkward hug I can imagine.
the Bills are I was super high on the Bills, and now I'm a little worried about them.
Man, the Bills should have never lost that game.
No.
That was awful.
That's why I picked them to win. I thought they were going to do it,
Yeah, that was painful.
but speaking of painful, Bengals, the Ravens tried to give the Bengals this game like twice,
Yeah.
and I mean they had a almost an Eagles like play call where they're marching down the field and then they decide to throw it, and Joe Burrow throws an interception, gives the ball back to the Ravens when they were already up by a field goal, or I think it was a field goal. Ravens go
Yeah, that
down, tie it.
and then the Bengals suddenly took their foot off the gas and
Yeah.
like they should have just kept moving. And then the field goal, they missed the field goal. Like the philosophy there doesn't make much sense. You are just cruising, moving up and down the field all game. And then right towards the end, like that's when you start getting conservative, and then you end up missing the field goal. Like you didn't really leave him. What was it? It was like a 53-yard field goal. I mean, now in the days of the NFL, that's like nothing. But that's not like you put him in a can't miss situation. You got to be a little bit more aggressive. You can't just settle for a 53-yard field goal and hope for the best.
Yeah, and the first 4 weeks of the season, everybody was talking about how much, teams are running the ball. But I mean, based on the numbers, this past weekend, it was a pass heavy week, pass
Well, it
heavy
takes a while. I
Sunday.
mean, that's them. No one playing in preseason or practice takes a while to get the passing game going.
But
And speaking of, I mean, the Bengals pick we made, I think we have one major flaw that we didn't plan on.
what's that?
Joe Barrow and Higgins and Chase might score 80 points a game. But the Bengals defense looks like they're going to give up 80 points every single game. They are
Yeah.
rough.
It's funny. When I'm watching all these games and like all these teams that are really supposed to be really good and losing, it made me feel a little bit better about the Eagles because I'm like, we're 2-2, could be should be 3-1, and we are just giving them hell for how they play. But all these other teams are struggling too. Um, but like I said, Lamar and Joe had a duel, 348 yards, 4 touchdowns for Lamar. Joe Burrow, 392, 5 touchdowns, and Jamar Chase had 193 yards.
Yeah,
So
insane.
yeah. But elsewhere, the Raiders, man, I thought they were going to be at least competitive and decent this
No.
year, push for a wild card, but they are garbage.
Hey,
Bron
Devontae Adams is getting out of there.
the Broncos won 34-18. Broncos
I don't know what to make of the
The
Broncos. Honestly,
Broncos
I just have no
are
idea.
like the 2001 Ravens, but without any good players on offense.
I wouldn't
Like
even
that.
say that. Like, I don't think their defense is that great.
I mean,
I,
they're playing
I'm
some pretty
shocked.
like pancake, like what's the word? Preschool opponents too. But the defense is playing. I mean,
I mean, they're
we didn't
not
get to do a
bad,
we didn't get to
but this
do
is not
a
like some elite defense that I think is going to keep winning games for them.
we didn't get to do our top 10 cornerbacks episode this year. But Pat Surtain was going to be my number one, and he
Yeah, I think that's
showed a
very
pretty
fair.
good example of that with a pick six for like what 100 yards or something.
He did. Yeah, he go right far.
Yeah, he was pretty good. But surprising, two surprising games here. We had the Cardinals beat the 49ers 24-23, and then the Giants beat the Seahawks 29-20. So,
Really surprised by the Giants because
yeah,
I was high on the Seahawks. I don't know where they got that win for the Giants. That was pretty surprising.
yeah. But 49ers, man, they're 0-3 in the NFC so far, 2-3 overall.
Right now, you
So,
finally had a game. At some point, I was like, man, John Lynch must be so pissed. He could have, like, if you just kept Jawan Jennings, he would have been fine. He would have
yeah,
got brand new Ayuk numbers. For some reason, you gave Ayuk 30 million to do what Jawan Jennings was doing.
yeah.
But, he did have a big game, 8 for 147. You got to give him credit for that. He did show up.
Well, it doesn't really matter when you lose, but
That is true. That is also
um,
true.
I mean, Kyler Murray, he was at like the 45-yard line, and he was running. And he just he pointed to the end zone and just that's ballsy just to call your shot, but he made it, scored a touchdown. So
That's true. Well, Brock Purdy's coming back to earth a little bit. 2 picks,
yeah,
19 of 35.
yeah.
Looking great. Not
They need
looking
Mr.
great.
McCaffrey.
They
So
do. McCaffrey makes this offense because Debo was out there, Kittle was out there, Ayuk was out there. I mean, 23
that's
against
why they
the
traded for him.
Cardinals, nothing, not super impressive.
Yeah. Um and then Packers beat the Rams 24-19. Not too surprising. Rams are like probably the most injured team in the league.
Yeah.
Um but Packers get their win, and then Cowboys Steelers. So I didn't watch any of this game because I went to bed.
Oh, this
But
was painful.
I know there was a weather delay for a while. I don't know when did it actually
There
start?
was well, I didn't watch it live. I
Okay.
fell asleep. I watched the second half this morning. It started after halftime because I watched the first half. Or no, it didn't. I'm sorry. It started in the beginning of the game.
Wait, what are you talking?
Yeah, I apologize. I was thinking because mine I started the
The game
second half
started
this
after
morning.
halftime.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, no, it was like the game was delayed by like I want to say like an hour or so.
I was gonna say I had
Um,
it on and it was like 9 o'clock and the game still wasn't on. But
yeah, that's why I was still up to watch the game because I was watching the Phillies.
hmm,
Um, yeah, very odd game. The Cowboys, man, they just don't look like a good team.
they
They
don't.
just really don't. CeeDee
Mm.
Lamb looks like he's so done with Dak Prescott.
I know every week he's yelling at him. It's actually hilarious.
CeeDee Lamb looks like he looks like a player that hasn't gotten his big contract, and he looks furious because Dak Prescott won't feed him the ball, so he can't get a big contract. Like he is like out there like Stephon Diggs, like prime miserable Stephon Diggs, and it's just and like for a guy that just got handsomely paid, very weird situation.
Hey, 5 catches, 62 yards.
Granted, that being said, the Steelers aren't very good either. The Steelers offensively really can't do much. I I think that the Justin Fields era is probably coming to a close since it sounds like Wilson's going to be healthy. Because man, shout out Flory, Najee Harris is so butt cheeks. He is such an average running back.
You mean 14 carries for 42 yards isn't good?
He does nothing, literally nothing. Makes no big plays, makes no
He was
cuts,
supposed to be this
doesn't do
big
anything.
Derrick Henry style running back, but he just doesn't like intimidate.
He
at
can just
all.
run into people, but he's got no moves. He
Yeah.
does nothing. But yeah, no, the Cowboys, they should have definitely not. They definitely shouldn't have won this game. They
No, the
got
Steelers had I mean
the
they came
Steelers
back.
had it.
I guess give Dallas credit,
Last
uh,
play game.
but that's a wrap on week 5 of the NFL. Eagles, Lions, Chargers, and with some other teams on a bye.
There's lots of teams in the bye.
I forget. But yes, so that's it. And then as far as our picks went, not great. Not counting the Saints Chiefs game, I went 6-7 this week. You're
Brutal.
sitting at 8-5. And
Nice.
Billy did our guest picks. He's also sitting at 8-5. So not too bad.
Nice. So speak for yourself.
Uh, so we'll see. But we got some studs and duds, I assume.
We do.
Hmm.
What are we thinking? Good mood? I guess the
I would
Eagles didn't
say
play, so you're probably
Eagles
in a good
didn't
mood, right?
play and the Phillies won. So we're the studs. Good mood.
All right, we can go with the studs. That's
All right.
very fair, I think. Just gonna say, very big quarterback heavy studs and duds list this week.
Okay.
I mean, a lot of duds represented with quarterbacks and a lot of studs as well. So it was a big quarterback led week for sure. With that, we're going to kick it off. I'm going to start out with, if you look at his numbers, it's almost insane that I'm putting him at number 3. But at the same time, it's almost become standard for him. And what was arguably the best game of the week and arguably the best game of the year, I'm going to go with the guy who put up 41 points with it and delivered a win in overtime for his team. Put up in a disgusting 348 in the air with 4 tutties and then throwing 55 yards on the ground. Lamar Jackson had his way, dueling it with his division rival. This is like we want to be the runner-up to Patrick Mahomes Bowl. And for the third stud for this week, we got Lamar Jackson beating the Bengals, coming out on top.
I'd argue he's on. He could still make it to but let me rephrase this. I would argue he's in the conversation for MVP again.
Oh yeah, I mean he'll be pretty much in the conversation every year.
Yeah.
He's just such a dual threat, puts some points up. So we'll see. I mean, it was an impressive win. Don't get me wrong; it was very impressive. He had a hell of a game.
Yeah.
Moving on. My not only non-quarterback on the stud list, and I think you'd appreciate this. You're a man of defense and skill players.
Hmm.
So we talked about this. Somehow the Denver Broncos keep winning games, even though offensively they really can't do anything.
At all.
But then again, when Pat Surtain is taking a 100-yard pick six to the house and then getting another interception on top of that, which leads to, I think it was a touchdown the Broncos scored off of that second interception.
Hmm.
I mean, he single-handedly was responsible for like 14 points. And it's pretty impressive because Bodek's still not getting there. We're 2 touchdowns this week, which is nice, but
Yeah.
19-27 for 206. We'll see. They only had 109 yards on the rushing, so offense isn't there yet. But when Patrick Surtain is going to be pretty much the sole reason you scored 14 points, got to give it up to him. So
Hmm.
big plays, big money players make big plays, and that's what Pat Surtain is. So Pat Surtain comes in the second stud spot this week.
Okay.
Moving on to our number one guy. Number one guy, also a quarterback like Lamar, but gotta say, I'm actually surprised. Did not hear enough of this in the commentary for this week leading up to it. And usually it's a much bigger deal, but I guess they let it go after he tore his Achilles. But
Hmm.
this guy has a big weakness on primetime games. It was like a ridiculous stat line he had. So I thought it was surprising that he came out and had arguably one of the best games of his entire career on a primetime game. Set a franchise record with 509 passing yards, 4 tutties, 1 pick, but no one's perfect, and a huge win in overtime. Mr. Can't do anything in prime time wins arguably the game of the year, and that's Mr. Kirk O'Bang's cousin coming in number one stud.
Wow. Hmm.
Really, what happened to the narrative that Kirk can't win on prime time?
Oh, he completely changed that this year.
I guess so. I mean, I guess he's 2-0. Impressive.
Should be 3-0 if they didn't call it dumb play against the Chiefs, but
Yeah, what are you gonna do? Saquon Barkley catches the ball, then he'd be, 1-2.
that's
But
that's also true.
I digress. All right, moving on. Speaking of a gentleman, a quarterback who has also blown out his Achilles, Kirk Cobain, we didn't think was going to move much at all after week one, but now he's moving, he's doing his thing. I'm still pretty confident that Aaron Rodgers isn't moving ever again. He's got no mobility. He got hurt again, managed to come back. He just doesn't look good at all because it's not even the mobility. Like he's making horrible decisions. He's not very accurate. He threw three interceptions this week, and one of them cost him the game. 29 to 54. Look at that stat line. 29 to 54 with three interceptions.
Hmm.
That is not an Aaron Rodgers stat line. I'm not a big Aaron Rodgers fan, but I gotta be honest, that is not an Aaron Rodgers stat line. That is pathetic. That is just jaw-dropping, like confusing. Even worse is they only ran the ball 14 times. Don't get me wrong, they only ran it for 36 yards, so I can understand it. But man, you want to try something new.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, you hate on Garrett Wilson, but he was a baller out there. Aaron Rodgers just really, really struggled. To be honest, you could put Aaron Rodgers here. Brees Hall, I was really debating, really wanted to put him there because
I don't know what's wrong with him.
he makes no plays. And I probably should have gone with Brees Hall, but something about throwing Aaron Rodgers on the dud list always makes me happy. And he had that pick to lose the game, so that's what
Yeah.
does it. So Aaron Rodgers kicking off the dud list this week.
Okay.
Moving on, and now this one just needs to be summed up on one drive. And this was one of the most painful things I had ever seen. I mean, there was like 20 seconds left in the game. And the Bills, after they fought back all game, looked great in the second half, got crushed in the first half, came back, looked great in the second half. They had the ball. The game was tied. They had the ball. I mean, they were nearly on the 3 yard line. They were in their end zone pretty much. There was like 20 seconds left, and the Texans had one timeout. I don't know what they were thinking. They decided to throw three passes on their 3 yard line. One of them was like a 40-yard pass downfield that was nearly picked off. All three of them were incomplete. So now the Bills went from pretty much guaranteed overtime
Mm-hmm.
to now having to punt from the back of their end zone,
Mm-hmm.
give it to the Texans with, I think there was like 11 seconds. They managed to burn 9 seconds off the clock in three plays. And the Texans got the ball with one timeout, ran one quick play for a quick pass, gained 5 yards, drilled a game-winning field goal to win the game. I mean, I was shocked. If I was a Bills fan, my TV would not be working anymore. Let's put it that way. The tables in Buffalo were burning up.
Oh
I don't know
yeah.
who you blame. Do you blame Joe Brady for making the calls? Do you blame Josh Allen? Was he not supposed to be throwing the ball 40 yards downfield when there pretty much should be? I mean, you could make an argument they should just kneel it and go in overtime. They're a
Yeah.
much hotter team. But I'm going to leave it with the coach. If I'm Sean McDermott, I don't understand how that happens. I have no idea how you let three passing plays leave your headset. I just am dumbfounded. Dumbfounded by watching that whole thing. Kneeling the ball and sending it overtime would have been better than that. How you burn 9 seconds and punt from the back of your end zone and then lose the next play is dumbfounding. So
Very
McDermott, I don't know how you let that happen.
some of that Eagles blood was still running through him.
Oh my God, that was the worst display of time management I had ever seen. And I've
He's
seen
actually
some a lot
always
of
not
bad.
he's always been pretty not great with time management.
Dude, this was some of the worst you
You
had.
probably
You
got that
really
from
have to
Andy.
try hard to like. I mean, the Texans didn't even have to burn a timeout. They had one timeout left. Really, really shocking. I mean, shocking. What an awful loss. Terrible,
Yeah.
terrible loss.
Yeah.
McDermott's got to eat on the chin because that was just brutal. I wish I had cable TV in Buffalo because I would have loved to see that press conference.
Yeah, they're rough right now. I don't know what's going on, but they need to get back on the
Oh,
winning.
dude, they look great in the second half. They had that. Everything was going their way.
Mm.
Terrible. Moving on. I mean, the only thing, you know this, I've said it a million times, the only thing that's going to keep Sean McDermott out of that number one dud spot after the worst time management I've ever seen in my entire life is what's the cardinal sin of the dud list, Dakota?
I don't know.
Pathetic. You lose your job, you find your
Oh,
way on this list.
yeah, yeah.
And not that I think he ever had a firm grasp on it, but he got pulled in, I think it was halftime of the game. The Raiders lost another ugly one.
Oh,
Minshew
yeah.
went 12 of 17, threw two interceptions before he got the hook. And I think the Raiders season is pretty much in just a tailspin. I don't think he's coming back. I think they're going to ride it out with Aiden Connell, see what happens. But I'm pretty confident Gardner Minshew has lost his job for the season,
Yeah, I mean
pending
you got you,
an
you get
injury.
benched twice, you're pretty much
Yeah,
Get
this is
cooked.
probably. I think he was actually on the duds list. What was it, week 1 or week 3 or something when we did this? And I
Hmm.
think I said this exact thing when he made it that time. But this time, I think this is it. I don't see him coming back.
It sucks. I was hoping he would have another shot at being a decent starter, but he's
Nah,
very
man,
hot and cold. So
they're 2-3. There's
yeah.
still hope for the season, but they got to start winning games. So yeah, I think this is the RIP to Minshew starting tenure.
All right. And that was studs and duds. All right. And quick hits on our too much whiz. So some of this we've already kind of hit on. But the first one here. So the Jets, the Jets I saw have scored more points on offense the first 5 weeks last year than they've scored the first 5 weeks this year. And so my question to you, too much whiz, is Aaron Rodgers washed?
Oh yeah, yeah,
Okay.
without a doubt. Yeah, he's definitely washed.
Okay.
That's, I mean, compared to his old self, he's clearly washed. Is he Zach Wilson washed? Probably not, but he's definitely not Aaron Rodgers.
Hmm. All right. Yeah, it's concerning to say the least there. But all right. Too much whiz. The Commanders will win the NFC East. You're thinking about it.
I am thinking about it. I mean, I don't want to, but I I'm still going to put my blind faith into the Eagles winning the division.
Hmm.
I still don't think I think the Commanders' defense stinks. Like their secondary is major problems.
Hmm.
I don't. I mean, they have a couple good interior players, but not much pass rush. Like Daniels is good, but it's I don't know. I feel like Daniels comes back to earth at some point. I'm not really scared about the rest of the roster.
That's the thing. Like,
Plus,
there's got to be like defenses have got to be watching this, and like some coach is going to come up with a good game plan to stop him. It's just a matter of
yeah,
time. But
I just don't think the Commanders there yet.
hmm.
I think Daniel, I think he is the real deal. Do I think he's going
Oh,
to
for
keep this up
sure.
all season? Probably not. But I'm not going to give up on us yet. I'm hoping that we can crush the Browns. I mean, we still play the Commanders twice too.
Yeah,
Sweep them and everything's different.
it's true.
Cowboys are awful, but they're still hanging around.
Yeah. So, all right. Yeah, I'm kind of in agreement there. I think they will slow down once defenses kind of figure them out, but they're kicking right now. So, and then final too much whiz at 1-4. The Cincinnati Bengals are going to miss the playoffs.
Mm, I'm not there yet.
1-4?
Yeah, but who's going to beat them? I mean, Jaguars and Browns were two playoff teams coming into the season, we thought. The Browns are arguably the worst team in football. The Jaguars just won their first game.
I mean,
The Dolphins look inept without Tua, and God
okay,
only knows if he's coming back. We just talked about the Jets. Like, who else is winning? The Ravens are a lock. I think the Bills pretty much are a lock. Chiefs are obviously a lock. Um, who else? The Texans, sure. Who are your other locks? Those are four locks, and that's it.
I
I think it's
mean,
completely wide open. I'm scared of no one in the AFC West. The Dolphins, Pats, and Jets all look bad. The
this is
Jags, Colts, none of them look good. The who am I missing in the South? The Titans are trash. The Browns look like the worst team of football. The Steelers, I'm not buying into the Justin Fields. Like the NAFC looks really, really bad.
oh yeah. I mean, you have right now if the playoffs started today, which would obviously be ridiculous, but um Pittsburgh is the 5 seed, Denver
Okay.
is the 6 seed, and the
That tells you everything you
Chargers
need to know.
are the
Yeah.
7 seed.
That tells you everything you need to know. And they're probably in the seventh seed because they didn't play this week.
But to be fair, on this list that is ranking the current playoff standings, the Cincinnati Bengals are in 16th place in the AFC. They are last. They are last place in the AFC
What makes them last place compared to like the Browns or the Titans or the Jaguars?
because they are 0-3 in the AFC. The only team they beat was in the NFC
Yeah, I'm not buying into that. Plus, look at their schedule. They've already played the Chiefs. They've already played the Ravens. Like, yeah, I mean, you definitely want to win those games, but their schedule will get easier. They've gotten a lot of these hard games. I forget who else they played in the
So
beginning
they
of the year.
go. It
The
does get
the
much
Patriots one
easier.
was
Yeah.
brutal. The Commanders look legit. Um, so I mean, the Ravens, Commanders, and Chiefs are out of the way. They really shouldn't have lost that Patriots game.
I mean, they only beat the
They play the
Panthers by
Giants.
10.
They play the Giants. They play the Browns. They get us. Then they get the Raiders. They get the Ravens again. The Chargers, Steelers, Cowboys, Titans. Like, there's not many hard games left. The Ravens in Baltimore is going to be a very tough game. Hopefully, against the Eagles is going to be a tough game. But other than you have two against the Browns, the Giants, the Raiders, Chargers,
Hmm.
Steelers aren't really scaring you. The Titans, Broncos, like these games aren't going to really scare you.
Yeah.
I could see them going on a run. I just have more confidence in them than I do any of the other teams.
I don't know. Well, I think their schedule definitely gets easier. I mean, besides Eagles, Ravens,
I
I
mean, you
think
just got to look at it. If
that's
they're
it.
clicking, if they are clicking, their ceiling is much higher than any of their other teams. If Bo Nix and the Broncos are clicking, I don't think their ceiling's that high. If
Yeah.
Harbaugh and whoever the hell they got at the Chargers are clicking, they're still very limited in what they can do. If the Chargers can get it together, they'll be fine.
I think they
But
can
yeah, I mean,
afford three more losses, which looking at their schedule, I think that's doable.
they have to beat Baltimore and Baltimore. If
I
they
mean,
do that, they're fine.
besides week one, they're putting up points, so it's not like they can't score.
They're
But
getting better. I mean, they started slow last year. Obviously, they had the whole Chase thing. Higgins was hurt. It's taken them a little while to get going again. Defense is the only problem. I mean, the offense will be fine. The defense, man, they need to figure something out
actually,
there.
the way you just phrased that, they are on pace to keep on scoring more points because in order from week one, they had 10 points, 25, 33, 34, 38.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, they're getting together. Think about all that, like Higgins missing time, Chase with the holdout, like
yeah.
Burrow coming off an injury. There was a lot of mixing and moving. Mixon left. They had a new running game. There was a lot of moving parts, but the offense can put it together. And no matter how bad the defense is, I think the offense can win games by themselves.
Yeah. I mean, I think he leads the league in touchdowns with 12 or something, Burrow. So,
Yeah, so they'll be all right.
but um yeah, we'll see what happens, but um all right, that's too much whiz and studs and duds. On to our game picks. So we already kind of went over the results from that, but I'm still in the lead for overall. You're close behind. I mean, it's still very close. So if nobody's going to really pull away, I think we were neck and neck, honestly, till the end of the season last year. So, um, but week six,
It's my comeback week. Let's see it.
we will we will see. I'm trying to get the schedule up. I don't know what the hell's going on with my hello. Just show me. Okay, game. Thank you. All right. Technical difficulties aside, Thursday night football. 49ers and Seahawks in Seattle. Seattle off a bad loss to the Giants. I feel like if Seattle wins this, they are not pretenders, but right now they're kind of looking like
Hey,
pretenders.
I've been on the Seahawk bandwagon since the beginning of the season. I'm not going to back down now. I'm taking Seattle. I think they get a big win. They need it.
This would be so bad for 49ers if they lost.
I'm taking Seattle.
I can't do it. I'll take the Niners. I hope I'm wrong, but um next game we got I guess this is this a game in London? Jaguars and
It is.
Bears? Hmm.
Yeah. And you
Jags
know
love
what? I
playing in
mean,
London.
then that's why they're going to win. They're very good in London. I mean, Caleb is looking better, but the Jags had a big win. I think a big one. This is kind of what they did last year. They were really bad, and then
Hmm.
they went to London, won a couple games in a row, and everything turned around a little bit. So I'm going to take them again to win this one.
Yeah, I think the Bears, while they're 3-2, I don't think they've actually looked particularly good. They're like the Broncos of the NFC. Like they're winning games, but like you don't really have confidence in them. But I'm in agreement there. I think I like the Jags in this one. Next game is the Buccaneers at the Saints. I think the Bucks are a good team. I think the Saints are very clearly pretenders. We'll see what they do. They're only down a field goal right now to the Chiefs, and it's almost halftime. But I think the Bucks win this one.
Yeah, I mean, in New Orleans gives me a little hesitation, but Buccaneers are coming off the long bye or the Thursday night bye, and then Saints are on a short week. I think Tampa comes in and win this, and it is everyone's favorite matchup. We get to see Marshawn Lattimore versus Mike Evans again. So
Ooh,
have your
yes,
popcorn ready,
yes. And Mike Evans in his like 40th season is still killing it. So
and he still hates Marshawn Lattimore.
yeah. Oh, speaking of long seasons, did you know that Jason Peters is still playing?
Really? No, I did not.
He's on the Seahawks.
Huh.
It is his 21st season.
Wow.
Yeah,
Really?
yeah.
How old is he?
Ancient. I saw
There's
that and
no,
I was
he's
like,
got to be over 40. They always say that Aaron Rodgers is like the oldest, the only 40-year-old in the league.
let's see, Jason Peters. He is 42. I think Rogers is like 44, isn't he? 43. Yeah,
Does this,
that's
is
insane.
Jason Peters still a Hall of Famer? Like, or is
Oh
this
yeah.
starting to hurt his
No,
legacy?
no. I mean, it's funny because when you look at his like year by year stat lines, he was a rookie in 2004. So
It's pretty crazy.
we were in the third grade.
He played for the Eagles for 11 years.
Yeah, I mean that's when he started getting Pro Bowls in his last two seasons with Buffalo, and then obviously after that it was Eagles from let's see 2009 up until 2020 he was
2020.
with the Birds. Then he's been Chicago, Dallas, and now Seattle. So and he still logs games. Like he played 12 last year for Dallas, 15 for Chicago
Yeah,
year
but
before.
remember when he was logging games with the Eagles, he would go out there for two snaps, then you have to come off for two snaps.
Oh
And
yeah. Which doesn't make like he's been so injured, I don't know how he's still playing. Like
I don't know.
248 career games.
That's
So,
absurd.
well, now I'm curious. So Rogers, let's see. Rogers is oh no, Rogers is 40. Maybe he's the oldest active starter. I don't know.
Yeah, so everyone's been the whole the whole year, everyone's been just shooting smoke up Rogers like,
He
oh,
was 2005 when Rogers came in the league, so
wow,
Jason
so
Pierce
who
got a year
cares
on
about
him.
how old Rogers is? Jason Peters is the oldest guy in the league.
Yeah. Anyways, not to get off topic there. So you're taking Bucks for that game.
Hmm.
Okay. Um Commanders at the Ravens. I mean, this could be a fireworks game.
It'll be a good metric test for the Commanders, but in
Yes.
Baltimore, I don't think they're there yet. I'll take Baltimore.
I think this is the game that brings them down to earth against a good defense. We'll see. But rooting for the Ravens on this one, obviously. I'll take Baltimore. Cardinals at the Packers.
Hmm.
Cardinals are weird, man. One week they look good. They beat really good team. The next week they blow it. So,
I wouldn't be surprised to see them with a little hangover after a big win against the Niners. And
uh,
going into Lambeau, though, I can't see the Packers losing here. I take Green Bay.
yeah, I kind of agree. I think I'll go Green Bay as well. Um, Colts at the Titans. I mean,
Yeesh.
Titans, Colts they just came off a loss. Titans are off a bye, but I mean, they're not
Hey, man,
very
I'm all in
good.
on Joe
So,
Flacco.
yeah, I'm taking Colts. Texans at the Patriots. I mean, th
I don't think the Patriots are going to score more than 20 points for the rest of the season.
this does scream like a trap game for the Texans, but
I don't know about that.
I'm gonna take Texans.
Yeah, I'm going to take Texans. The Patriots are pretty
But
rough.
you heard it here. I would not be surprised if the Patriots won this game.
It means absolutely nothing if you're not going to pick them.
We'll think about it. I'll come back to it. Browns at the Eagles.
For
Do I
all that is holy in this world, the Eagles have to win this game. If they don't win this game, my mental well-being will collapse. And it's already hanging on a thread as it is.
I'm not gonna lie. The season is not technically over if they lose, but I'm done with the season if they
Oh
lose.
no, I mean, this is going to be a nail to the bullet. The Browns look so bad; they have to win. They're 8.5 point favorites. That tells you everything you need to know.
What's your bold prediction for the game? I got Saquon 140 rushing yards and 65 receiving yards, so he eclipses 200 yards from scrimmage.
I'm gonna say that the pass rush shows up.
I said bold prediction, not pipe dream wish.
Deshaun Watson gets sacked 4 times.
He would
It's
have
not
to
really a huge
scramble.
number,
He would
but
have to scramble to the line of scrimmage and run into Huff to get the fucking.
have you watched some Deshaun Watson
You
plays?
watched our
That
pass
doesn't.
rush.
I think the pass rush comes alive a little bit. I don't know if 4 is really a crazy
They've
number,
had two
but
weeks to figure it out, so
yeah, I think Deshaun Watson's inability to get rid of the ball is going to help them.
I hope so. I hope it's not a low scoring game of who can play the worst quarterback role. But all right. Yeah, I'm Eagles. Go Birds. Chargers off a bye at the Broncos.
The Broncos aren't good. Neither the Chargers, but I like the Broncos have to come back to earth a little bit, right?
I, I'm picking the Chargers just because they're both terrible teams. So, but yeah, they're off a bye. They had some injured players. Hopefully they're getting some back. So like
All right,
Joe Alt,
screw
I think
it.
was out.
There's no reason to do this, but I'll go with the Broncos. I'm their
Oh,
biggest hater, but for some reason I'm going to pick them anyway.
picked them last week too.
That's what I do. Yeah, it looked pretty good too.
Steelers at the Raiders.
The Raiders are falling apart.
I
There's,
know,
I'm taking the
but I
Steelers.
mean, yeah, I gotta take Pittsburgh. I don't. I just don't. I was gonna say Justin Fields but just yeah, Raiders are not good right now. Falcons at the Panthers. Yeah, I think the Panthers have shown us who they really are for the last time. So
Yeah, they
probably
were
take
fun for one
Falcons.
game.
Lions at the Cowboys. I'm going with Detroit here off a bye. Are you kidding me?
If you watch enough of the Dallas Cowboys games, you realize how bad the Cowboys are. I'll take the Lions.
Sunday Night Football is Bengals at the Giants, and the
How is
Bengals.
this a Sunday night football game? This is the most obscure matchup ever. What is there? Like, they're not rivals. They're not very good.
You don't want to see
Like,
Danny Dimes in prime time?
what is the thinking putting this matchup again? Like the Eagles versus the Giants, sure. The Giants versus, like, I don't know, someone that's not the Bengals, maybe. This game's stupid. This is a stupid matchup, but I'll take the Bengals.
Yeah, I'm also taking the Bengals. And then Bills at the Jets. I feel like every year we get a Bills Jets Monday Night Football game, but yeah, the Bills need a nice win to rebound off two straight losses, and the Jets look booty hole. All their good players. Gary Wilson finally played well, but everybody else has been looked like shit. So
This is, as we call in the business, a get right game. If Buffalo loses this game, though, after the complete debacle last week and the ass kicking the week before that, all the good times rolling 3-0 won't matter anymore. Like, I think Buffalo is really going to have to get some heat if they don't win this game.
yeah, I think Sean McDermott might be on the hot seat if
Oh,
they
his
lose
seat
that
is
one.
going to be very warm if they lose this one.
Yes, but all right, those are our game picks. Later to be announced. We'll have a guest pick as always. And yeah, Tim, I hope when the next time we do this weekly stuff next Monday or whenever we get to it, that the Phillies are in the NL Championship Series. So
It's
we,
true.
we will
And
see.
if the Phillies are eliminated by the Mets and the Eagles lose to the Browns, I'm going to just tell you now,
You
I
might
won't be able to do the next episode because I'm going to be fully committed.
we might have to retire the pod. I'm not gonna
I
lie.
will be in an asylum somewhere, losing my mind, ripping my hair out, just unwell and locked away.
But we will not wish for those things. So we will go Phils and fly Eagles fly. So
Go Birds.
all right. Peace.